to dinner with friends or to a movie or anything like that because I didn't have any extra money. Miraculous amounts of cash didn't just arrive on my doorstep. But I always had enough. And more profoundly, that anxiety that I constantly had, that worrying over my financial picture, that stress and that kind of doubting that God would ever provide for me, that was kind of gone. It was replaced with this confidence that even in the end, God was with me. And if I just offered myself to God in the best way that I can, God would provide. See, when we allow our treasures to overtake our lives, what happens is that it begins to eat away at our faith because it becomes the focus of our life. And it leads us into this strange place where we will say things like, I can't possibly give any more, as we go off and buy lattes every day at $5 a pop. Now, Alicia and I, we both love our Starbucks. See, but the lordship of Christ over our treasures means that we need to be willing to give them up. Because if paying for our drinks becomes more important than supporting our church and God's work in the world, something is wrong. And it's not wrong on a financial level, it's wrong on a spiritual level. Now, just so you know, if you're kind of getting a little bit uncomfortable here, churches have a hard time doing this too. Churches often, they kind of go out of their way to do things to avoid paying what is known as apportionment. Now, if you don't know what apportionment is kind of the tithe of the church. It is a percentage of what we get of our income annually that we offer to the diocese for the work of God through the diocesan world. It funds the bishop and other missions, and they kind of give the money to the missions. The diocese then takes a portion of what they have and offers it to the national church. It's a tithe. When churches, through complicated means, try to avoid paying the apportionment, it's kind of like us saying we're only interested in doing the least that we can do. It is an insult to the lordship of Christ, just as any individual who is more faithful to paying for their drinks rather than supporting God's work in the world is an issue over the lordship of Christ. Again, the point is not how much you give. The point is whether or not you are faithful to God and God's work, whether or not that is being reflected in what you give. That's one of the reasons why Alicia and I, why we use pre-authorized giving. Because for us, we like knowing that the very first thing that comes out of our income is our offering to the church and to God's work in the world. We've also gone to the step where we've made provisions in our wills, that one of the first items dealt with in our estates after we die is furthering and supporting the work of God through many different ways. And I only mention that not because you have to do that by any means, but those are things that you can do to reflect the lordship of Christ through your monetary things, through your treasures. Because the thing is, we can't talk about financial faithfulness and not talk about definitive action. We can't talk about how to view our interaction with money as a spiritual issue and not be real about how that will affect how we spend our money, how we use our treasures, maybe what we spend our money on. So let's be honest. For some of you here, financial faithfulness may mean that you are challenged to increase your offering. If upon reflection of your interaction with your treasures, you find that the level of your offering isn't in line with the faithfulness that you want to express, that you choose to have, then maybe you need to make some adjustments. As our insert said last week, maybe you will look at forgoing one latte a week in order to increase your offering an appropriate amount. back on the island, a retired couple that I know, they made the decision after they retired. They both had pensions and kind of they were doing kind of well, but they made the decision that instead of taking their animals to professional pet groomers, they were going to start doing that themselves. Because for them, they wanted to keep their level of offering at the same level as when they were working. So they decided to do that. It might be different for you, but that was just what they decided to do. But here's the thing, the flip side is also true. This might mean for some of you that financial faithfulness means that you will be challenged to give less. I think our treasurer's ears just opened a little bit. See, here's the thing, if you have been bending over backwards to give to this church, and if you're putting yourself in a hard financial picture because of it, if your current offering to the church is actually and truly a point of stress, a point of anxiety, and an ache for you, then maybe you are challenged to give a smaller amount. Because we live in this world where a lot of people, they've lost their jobs, where families are struggling. And financial faithfulness doesn't mean giving money to the church instead of paying your rent. And if that's the case that you're in, then give a smaller amount. The Bible says, the Lord loveth a cheerful giver. Give to the point that it will make you happy. It'll bring joy into your life. The Lord loveth a cheerful giver. Although I did see a church bulletin that said, the Lord loveth a cheerful giver, but he also accepteth from a grouch. But, it's... See, here's the thing. Nobody can tell you how much to give to God's work in the world or to the church. The Bible holds up this figure of 10%, but I can't tell you how that's going to work out in terms of your debt repayments and your mortgage and helping out family members and giving to other charities. John Wesley said, earn all you can, save all you can, give all you can. It has to be between you and God. So as a way forward, when is the last time that you prayed about your financial life? Not in the, oh God, let me win the lottery kind of prayer. But when's the last time that you actually talked to God about your finances? When's the last time that you've kind of laid it all out? Here is where we sit. God, help me use all of this and move forward as faithfully as I can. When have you communicated your desire to live faithfully in regards to your treasures? Because what you do with the things in your wallet isn't just about the stores that you will go to and the items that you purchase. It is about who reigns in your life, who is Lord, and how you offer yourself to their lordship. So may all of us take the needed time to reflect and make the necessary adjustments to further honor Jesus Christ as King of our time, as King of our talents, and King of our treasures.